Boom, what's up, familia? Dayspring here with a very special episode of Power of X-Men. For those who may or may not know, I am a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. I grew up watching the show every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on the WB. And a couple years into Buffy, at the end of season 3, David Boreanaz went off to do his own spin-off, Angel. And I have to tell you, as much as I love Buffy, I love Angel more. And there was a character on the show called Lilah Morgan who embodied everything I wanted to be. I mean, she just had this high bitch in charge energy. And in my head, I would envision her strut, the way she talked to people, and apply it to my everyday life as a high school student. The actress who plays Lilah Morgan was very known to me because I loved fashion and I loved Melrose Place and Models Inc. It was Stephanie Romanov. And so on today's episode of Power of X-Men, we have Stephanie joining us, and we dive into her career on Angel, on getting the news that Michelle Trachtenberg had passed, on spirituality. This is just one of those episodes of Power of X-Men that I am so proud to air. When I thought 5 years ago I wanted to do a podcast, it was for interviews like this. There's so much great energy here. We are airing this the week of June 10th because this weekend is Hellmouth Con in Torrance, California. I don't know. I don't know how to say it because I've never been, but you fly into LAX and it's 20 minutes from there. So let's just say LA. How about that? It is Hellmouth Con in LA, and Stephanie will be there. I will be there with Stephanie, and we're going to make sure we get all of that content out to you guys. So go to Hellmouth Con this weekend. If you're in the LA area, hit up Stephanie Romanov on Instagram and enjoy today's episode of Power of X-Men. I am so incredibly honored to be airing this episode. Familia, I am losing my mind right now because I am here with my idol, Stephanie, in the house.
Woo woo! Here I am. Hello, Paul.
The Lilah energy that I have been channeling my entire life because of you.
You know what? I am so grateful. Like, who knew? You know, you go on an audition, you don't know if you're going to get a job, and then you get a really cool character like Lilah, and I'm getting chills again, Paul. Gosh darn it.
Okay.
And then you make an impact on someone, and so that just, it makes it even better knowing that. It's everything. That's awesome. You're awesome.
No, thank you. And the familia at home probably doesn't know, but we have been talking for like the last 2 hours before we actually hit record.
Fast, right?
But I have to tell you, there's certain people on this planet that, you know, they always say don't meet your heroes, stuff like that. But as we've been talking about today, just meeting you, I understand why I resonated with you. Again, this kid from Miami, Cuban kid from Miami, seeing this goddess on the TV and now seeing you as a human, I understand that.
Me too. And I always say I'm from a small town. I'm from a small town in the south, southern Nevada. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called Las Vegas.
Oh my God, you are such a Las Vegas queen. I'm obsessed.
And it's so funny because I was raised Mormon, so when people hear I'm from Vegas, like, I don't know, like, what images create, but like, were you born on a craft table? And my response is always no, but I was conceived on one.
That I love so much. I am like flustered here.
I love it. I made you speechless. Rock on. Woohoo! Lilah's in the house.
Okay, wait. Can you give our familia at home sort of like a little quick summary on your journey from going to Vegas to Hollywood? And the first place I saw you was actually Melrose Place / Models Inc. So can you?
I have a great story about that too. So you want me to, like, I'll give a concise version as I can, but I have a great story about that as well.
Let's hear.
So I grew up dancing and loving dancing, and my whole life I wanted to be a dancer. And I was I was in my church ballroom dance team. We used to perform in stadiums. I was doing ballet 5 days a week. I remember when I was in second or third grade, the teacher, it was like a parent-teacher conference, and the teacher was getting after me about my handwriting. And she's like, "What if you grow up and you become a secretary one day?" And I looked at her, I was like, "I'm not going to be a secretary." And my mom was like, "That's right." And we walked out. So from that, then I grew tall very quickly. By the time literally from the time in kindergarten, I was back row center. You know how they used to line everybody up I was always like back row center. By the time I was 12, I was 5'8". By the time I was 13, I was 5'9". So the ballet thing went out, but I was obsessed with Mikhail Baryshnikov, and I did all of my peer, and I wanted to go to New York. Just New York was like in my brain. And I wasn't like some kind of like fashionista, fabulous person. I was like you, like hard worker and loving dance. I mean, I'm great with ballroom. I'm great with gowns, but the in-between stuff I'm not so great at. So my sister I didn't even really look at magazines, but my sister had a magazine, and I saw like what the height requirement was. I'm like, check. I saw you could live in New York, check. And then said, you need wide set eyes. And I'm like, not sure. Mom, do I have wide set eyes? She's like, I don't know. So then I just started work. I actually went to the Lens Modeling School in Las Vegas.
Wow.
So, but I had to work. So I was babysitting, and a lot of the people I babysat for didn't really have money. So a lot of times I didn't get paid. But then I was selling things that I would make door to door and cleaning my ballet teacher's house so that I could take my lessons. And I saved up money to get photos taken of me and then sent them to Elite. And then my first time on a plane, oh my gosh, hold on 1 second so you can see this. This is so cute. So here's my parents dropping me off on the plane with my Pooh Bear. This is my original Pooh Bear when I was 5 years old. My dad gave me $100 and they were like, good luck. Pooh's been all over the world with me.
Oh my God, look at that Pooh. Wait, let me see one more time.
Look how cute he is. I've had him forever. I need to fix his nose a little bit. And his boyfriends be jealous. He's had to have so many surgeries. I have boyfriends and friends of my sisters, they cut him and things. They were mean to my Pooh Bear.
No, not your Pooh
So I've
Bear.
had him with me since I'm 5 years old. So anyway, so I get to New York gratefully, and they're forwarding all the money because, of course, we had no money. And so I'm kind of on, and I stayed in a model's apartment. I remember there were bunk beds, and I was given $100 a week, and that was for me to eat, use the subway, go on all my go-sees. Well, because I was very, very good with money, shall we say. I walked everywhere. I had all my shoes by the end of the summer had holes in them, and girls who got like $250 a week would be borrowing money from me.
I love walking everywhere. If you're in New York, you walk everywhere.
I love it.
And B, I say the same thing. I am so good with money. Like $100 in New York may seem impossible.
Say cheap, but I know how to manage it.
I'm not cheap either, but I know where to allocate it. That's what I always tell people. Everyone always like tries to make fun of me. They're like, "Oh, Paul, he loves his fashion. He loves his action figures. I bet he spends so much money." No, I'm so smart with it. I allocate it.
I love that. I love that about you. So I was very good about that, and I was very fortunate that I got a test shoot, and then. So my first time on a plane was May of 1984 with Pooh, my pal. My next time on a plane was in July, going to Paris, Milan, and Rome, doing all the editorials for Italian and French Bazaar. How about that? So it was a slow burn, and then it was fast. But it took me, like I said, from 12, 13, I was working. Like it took me quite a few years to earn enough money to get the photos I needed, which were awful photos, but they got me to New York. But then it happened, and it happened very quickly. So I was like, Mom, I'm going to Paris, Milan, and Rome at the Grand Hotel in Rome. Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Which was your favorite show, by the way?
Oh, say it again?
Your favorite show, your favorite runway you've walked.
You know what's interesting is I didn't do the shows in Europe. I did the editorials. So the girls would walk the runway. They walked the runway, and then we would shoot all night. So we'd wait for the shows, and then so I have actual physical proof, but I did a ton of shows in New York. I did Ralph Lauren. I did there's of course Donna Karan. I did Valentino. I think there's a bunch I can't think of. But what I was going to say, in Vegas, when I was with the lens modeling thing, I was doing runway. So all the New York designers that flew in, I did their shows, and we would do them on the stages of the show, like Siegfried and Roy and this. And like I told them what my age was, but they didn't really look at it for some reason. All the other girls were at least 10 or 12 years older than me. But so I was I was making it happen in Vegas. I was getting paid really well for a 14-year-old in Las Vegas. And then there was one time after a show, this is really funny. I haven't thought about this in so long, where they had like the boys leave and all the girls stay, and they had male strippers. And I'm a 14-year-old Mormon girl. And somehow, like the next day or something, the woman realized what my actual age was. I don't even think it was legal for me to be working, but I was working it anyway. But
yeah, that's how you do it.
Here's a toast to you.
Here, you know what? It's so funny. I'm usually always drinking. I always have the running joke is that I can't do anything without my glass of wine.
And you're not celebrating with me?
I'm gonna get one. Hang on one second.
Okay, I'll hang on.
Okay, hang on one second. I'm gonna grab. I have a bottle here. I don't think you can hear me.
Toast each other.
Okay, I have a bottle here. Okay, can I tell you the story? Stephanie, can I tell the story? I was on a flight. I got upgraded. I fly probably every few weeks. I'm always on a plane, but I didn't grow up flying. I didn't get on a plane till I was about 19. And my mom, God rest. Well, I don't know why I said God rest. She's still alive, but she has dementia. I don't have a poo, but my mom.
I understand what you mean, because it does feel like they've passed before they've passed. Because my mom also was like that, so I understand.
She just what's the word I'm looking for? She instilled a lot of fears in me, and one of them was flying. So now, till this day, as a 41-year-old man,
I'm getting so many downloads about you right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Honey, I'm going to heal you from that mother talk. You're going to listen to this mother from now on.
Yes, mama. But anyway, so I was on a flight, and they gave me a bottle of
Let me see the wine. Let's see what it is.
It's an Arrowhead.
Nice. I like Arrowhead. Who cares?
I don't know.
Open that puppy up. Let's celebrate.
It's a screw. It's a screw.
You know what? I'm on them all now, which is great. Like I kind of, I have to pull the cork out.
Okay. Cheers. Cheers. And family at home, if you're drinking, open up some wine. Right there.
Look at that. We sipped it at the same time. You and me. Okay, my brother from another mother.
Stop it. I would love to be. If I am your brother, I'm so happy.
Stop it some more.
Stop it. Okay.
Tell you my Melrose story.
Well, yeah. So how did you get to Melrose?
right. So then the modeling thing took off and was going really well. But I never really wanted to be a model. Because the one thing that I said to the third grade teacher is I'm not going to be a secretary. I'm going to be a dancer, or I'm going to be an actress. So I never thought of modeling. So I moved to California because I wanted to be an actor, and I couldn't do it in New York. It's too much work. And I had lived in New York for 8 years, and the energy can get to you after a while. Oh, I know. And so I moved to LA, but then you come to LA as a New York model, and then I was working like crazy. And then I finally, oh my God, this is such a great story, but I don't know if I can tell it. How I got my manager. It was kind of kismet, like you and I are. When I first came, I'm trying to think how long I'd been in LA for a couple of years, and I was on a photo shoot where it's on location and you're in a trailer, and the trailer driver was this really cute girl who happened to be gay, and we became very close friends. Yeah. And I went out with her to meet her friends. I remember playing pool, and I suck at pool, unfortunately. And then at that table was Ellen DeGeneres, a bunch of really high-profile lesbians. Actually, well, that's another story I'll tell later. So everybody's going around the table, and the manager of Ellen was at this lunch. And they're all ordering, and it's a Mexican restaurant. I order beef and bean burrito. And Ellen looks at me, and she's like, we're all vegetarians at this table. And I looked under the thing, and she was wearing leather shoes. I'm like, so you can skin them, you just can't eat them?
What did she say?
I can't remember, but that manager signed me right then and there and said, you got it. You got something. Actually, he said to me, like, if you want to act, I was like, I can't explain it to you. I know I'm going to, and it's going to happen different for me. And he's like, well, come in with a headshot and let's get you started. And then it took me, because I was working a lot, it took me like 3 months, and I just showed up at his office. I'm like, okay, I got my headshot. Let's get going. And my first audition was Models Inc.
Wow. And you got
How
it.
about that? Whoa.
Yeah.
So Ellen helped me get my manager.
So wait, what was it like then getting on that set and being,
this is another great story. I can't
spelling
wait to tell you.
huge. Yeah, let's hear it. Go. I want to hear all your stories.
Well, you're going to have to wait a while to hear all of them. I got lots of them, but I'll share this one with you right now. It's so I was so excited. Number one, like, I did the audition. I was so nervous. Like, you're holding the sides and they were shaking. Like, where's the paper? It was like, I was like, and they wanted me to come back in and to do it again. And then Aaron said, you've got the job. You can do it. So I worked my butt off to make sure I did a great job. And I was supposed to be killed, which I was. And the only reason I came back is they loved my performance and they wrote me back into the show. But before Models Inc., because it was a spinoff of Melrose, so my very first acting job was Melrose Place at the dinner table with Heather Locklear, Linda Gray, like all these heavy hitters. And I had never been on a set before. I was like, we did the master shot. And I was like, wow, so are we done? And they laughed and laughed at me. I didn't even know that they go in for close-ups or do any of that. It was all so new. It was very exciting. So, I mean, it was that green.
What was like the vibe? First of all, like, for the family at home who doesn't know, everyone watched Melrose Place.
Oh, in the 90s, that was
so you are getting it. This is like Game of Thrones. Like, so you're, no, it really was.
That. Thank you.
But that's how big it was. And that's how talented you were to be able to book that. And it was your first job. What was it, intimidating? Like, Heather Locklear.
I was so stupid. Because I was just so excited because I'd always wanted to act. So I didn't feel intimidated or fear. No. I felt excitement. But also, like, you just don't know anything. So I was just kind of looking around in awe and doing it. And I was just so excited to be there. I felt so grateful that the universe answered my call and let me act and play.
How was Aaron Spelling like?
He was awesome. He was great. He was funny. He was great. Like, I just picture like going, I still have a very visual, and I don't remember a lot of stuff because you and I were talking earlier about how our dream world and our real life sometimes gets intermixed and we can't quite tell the difference sometimes. I mean, we can tell the difference at the moment, but when you remember back, like which one was the dream, which one was real life. But this I remember very clearly. And he had a beautiful, like, you walked in, it was like double French doors that opened up. And he had this big desk, and everyone, like, kind of like you, like this light behind him. But he was very kind to me. He was great. He gave me my first big shot,
And of course, then you go to Angel. What was that like? So what was it like going to Angel and to go from Melrose to Models Inc. to Angel, and you came in
what
season
about all
one?
the stuff in between that I did? How about I worked with Kevin Costner. I played Jackie Kennedy in 13 Days. I did Homicide: Life on the Street. I did, oh my gosh, Just Shoot Me, which this is a funny story. It goes back to you saying, were you nervous? So Just Shoot Me was a sitcom. And I told you I didn't really watch sitcoms. I didn't know. And it's filmed before a live audience, which I love. I was like, woohoo, people.
Wait,
come on.
You love a live audience? No.
Shocking, right? So, but then like there's David Spade and all these people. I didn't realize that when you do the table read, like you can get fired if you're not funny. I didn't know that. So you like saying, were you nervous? Just like with the sitcom. No, because I didn't know anything. And I remember David was very sweet and he's like, you did great on top. I'm like, thanks, you did too. And then when it was the night of filming, all the major stars were like pacing back and forth and nervous. And I'm watching them. I'm like, am I supposed to be nervous? Like, I was just excited. I'm like, come on, let's go play. But now I understand. But because I was so green, I didn't understand the stakes. So I didn't like, now I would be, I wish I would have had a little more knowledge back then that I have now, because I would have not just tried harder, because I did try hard. I would have known how to prepare better. But then, so then when Angel came along, it was the night before I saw one episode, and the guy that I was dating at the time, he was really handsome, had good guns, was a huge Angel fan. He's like, no, no, no. So he was so excited for me. He was like, oh, no, no, no. I'm like, okay, okay. And then it happened to come on again. Synchronicity came on that night that I could watch it. And then I went in and did the audition for Lilah. It was at like the callback level. So you have all the producers, you have the directors, so it's kind of a room filled with guys. And I guess I'm not a great auditioner because the director had like a million notes for me. And I remember, but I'm a pretty smart cookie. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know. Trust me. I know.
He knows people. He knows, you know, a lot of stuff. And he gave me like a ridiculous amount of notes. And I was just like, my brain luckily moves very quickly. And I acted like super naive. And it's like, you want me to do all of that? He's like, no. I was like, just kidding.
And that's such a Lilah move.
And that's when I got the job. They didn't even ask me to read again. So it was a total Lilah. Like it was just one of those things. So I guess I was meant to play Lilah because it worked out so kind of that the guy I was dating loved the show, that it came on the night before I had my audition, and that the director was like bumbling with all of his notes, that I got to give a Lilah slash, which is kind of my personality. Well, exactly my personality. But so like certain times in my life, there are synchronicities things that happen that help me. And so it was great. But the thing with Angel is you never know who's going to get killed. Like I had no contract. They never pulled me on as a series regular. So I was always waiting for the episode where I got killed. So I was grateful that I got to be on it as long as I was. And I'm going to say Josh Greenwald in June. He's going to be at the convention. I haven't seen him in 25 years or something.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you if Greenwald was in the room when you auditioned.
I'm sure he must have been, but at that time, I didn't know who anybody was. So I just remember that it was just a bunch of men and me. And I owned that room. I took it like Lilah did. So but I'm sure he must have been, because he was really a big powerhouse behind Angel.
He must. I have to tell you, you revitalized the show when you came on. You were my favorite character. Anyone who's ever spoken to me knows that Lilah is my favorite charter in the Buffy verse.
This is why I love you.
So this is why I love you. But okay, wait. So you get the role. What is your first day like? Like, when did you meet David? When did you meet Charisma? Obviously, you and Alexis had a lot. Well, that would come later on in the series.
Yeah,
but do you remember that first?
About it. Like, I'm trying to remember the first. I mean, here's what I do remember is I knew, kind of like we were talking about, like I love kind of kitschy Vargas girl, those kind of images. So I knew that I wanted Lilah to be like a femme fatale. I knew that I wanted, like, I knew how I wanted my hair. I knew it wasn't so great on the clothes. I would have made my skirts a little bit shorter, maybe, but. But I knew, like, I remember who I knew she was. And so, and I always, like, there's little, is it called cherries or stuff when they put little clues in? What's it called?
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs. So I don't know if nobody's ever mentioned it, but anytime I'm in a scene with David, Angel, my nails are always red and I'm always wearing red lipstick.
Oh, always. Interesting.
Always. Interesting. Nobody's picked up on it. And so I knew who she was. And again, like I'd seen the show one time. I didn't know who David was. I didn't know who that. So I remember, like, I kind of remember that I was in like a big club scene, and I was in a business suit, and I had like that kind of, except for my hair was shorter like this, but it was. But I just remember, like, and it's interesting because I was so focused on being Lilah that some people thought I was really mean, like actors and stuff. And I was like, because you don't get to rehearse, you just have to play that. And it's like, I'd go later on, I was like, apologize, I'm sorry, I was just being, I had to be Lilah then. So what I more remember, and I love that you asked me this because I haven't thought about it in so long. I really was trying to, in the first episode, give us a very definitive impression of who she is. Yeah. And she's a seductress, because they kind of wanted me to play it like soap opera, like evil. And I was like, you know, I didn't say this to them, but I was like, And I thought about it because I've known some evil people in my day. And the most evil people are the most charming. Yeah. They seduce you. And wow, you're dead. So that was my goal behind Lilah. So I more remember my kind of, and it's interesting that I'm getting a little chills now. You're going to make me cry, but never ugly.
We don't ugly cry here. We only pretty cry here.
Oh.
We only Oscar cry here.
But it's interesting when you ask me that, because I should have maybe thought more about that, but I really wanted to make her a full human. She's one of the undead people. She's one of the not dead people. Like, he's a vampire with a soul. I thought she was an evil lawyer with a soul that she had sold.
Yeah, well, so she did, like, as we find out later on, she did. Extended perpetuity. Yes! Extended perpetuity clause. But it means something that you tried. Exactly. I love that.
But you know how hard it was not to cry during that scene? I was even shocked at how, because it's weird when I went into, and I don't know actor speak, but I would go into Lilah and I would have things that would happen that was unexpected. Like, that was an actual Lilah tender moment.
Well, I have to tell you, Lilah has so many tender moments that I cry even thinking about.
I love that. I fought for those. Like,
I'm glad you did.
Wanted me to be, but because I didn't know how to play. Same on Models Inc. They wanted me to be a lot more campy, and I probably should have. I should have watched all those old soaps. I just was not.
I'm so glad you were who you were, because let me tell you something. You know, before you got on towards the end of season 1, Charisma was the only one with that female energy on the show, and it was very different.
Right.
And then she's
from Vegas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're both Vegas.
But you came in and you brought that.
Stormed in.
You stormed in.
I didn't walk in. I threw open the doors.
and of course, Julie would come later on.
All these wonderful female characters. I loved working with all of them. Yeah.
But you were also, like, your character was, I don't want to say unapologetically bad, because as we discussed, there's so many layers to Lilah, but she knew what she wanted.
Definitely unapologetically bad. I didn't sell my soul for nothing, motherfucker.
I poured another glass for that one.
You know what? I'm going to fill up my glass. Will you hold 1 second?
Yeah, of course. Okay, wait, let me pick up from
my wine bottle. There you go. Did you hear that pop? That was a nice pop.
Stop.
But also not a...
Boom. I tried to open, but it's so funny. I did an event last Saturday, and they had that wine, and I couldn't get because it's like a glassy metal top. It's so hard to pop open.
All glass. The only way that I do it is I get one of those paring knives, and I cut the thing, and I use the knife to tip up.
Oh, interesting.
That's the only way.
I was going like that.
It's impossible. It's impossible without. You need a knife with you at all times. Maybe I'm going to send you a knife with Lilah's body on it, like a Vargas girl.
Stop it. Well, that's merch that we can talk about for the future. Cheers. Cheers again. Cheers. Okay. So, did you know how big the role was going to be?
Not at all. I think I was hired for 3 episodes. And then, the lawyers kept getting killed off. So I kept, reading, is it this time? Is it this time? So no, they kept me guessing the whole time. And I think maybe that's also why I really wanted to create a strong presence with make an impression. Then they offered Christian Kane a series regular role in the 2nd season, and he turned it down. And they never offered me one.
That's absurd, though, especially given how big your character would be in seasons 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. But what else? That's that. But what did happen is what I didn't know. The season where, the coolest season for Lilah for me to play with, which was the relationship and all of the interesting things with Wesley. I didn't know that they'd planned that season. I had no idea. And I had decided that I wasn't going to do Angel anymore because I was working so much in Angel and they weren't paying me very much that I wasn't able to really go out and audition for other stuff. So I decided that I'm not going to do it. And not knowing, because they never told me anything, that they had created Wesley's whole character arc around he and I. So they kept coming back and my agents were freaking out. This is their last offer. I was like, no. I'm not going to do it until I wanted them to pay me the rate that I got as a guest star when I first started acting with Aaron Spelling. So I fought for all those years, and I just kept saying no, no, no. Like, but I didn't know. No producer called me. I didn't know. So then the producers told Alexis, and he called me, and he said, "Do you not want to work with me?" And I was like picture a record album. Like, what are you talking about? I adore you. Of course, I'd love to work with you. What are you talking about? Well, you know, this whole season is based around Wesley and Lilah. I was like, no, I do not.
You're like, thanks for telling me, Alexis.
I was like, you're the first person who's told me that. So yeah, no, absolutely, I want to work with you. It's nobody else has called me, and they're not paying me. So then finally, I think, I can't remember if it was David or Joss called me and asked what I was asking for, and they're like, oh, done. But they said, this is, because I was thinking about it, I rewatched the podcast that I did with Ian Carlos and you.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't come back on the next season, they said, but if we pay you this, you're not coming back next season. I was like, okay.
Well, but why did they leave it open for you to come back next season, though, is what infuriates me. Because that was the one thing that I wish. If I had to go back and like just do the editorial line, Lilah in season 5. And they created basically a Lilah copy. No offense to
she
the
was
character.
like a carbon copy.
Yeah.
She was the black and white version to my color version.
She was like, listen,
and
no
disrespect
disrespect.
to her. Actually, I only seen a little bit, but of course I feel a little bit protective of Lilah. So
well,
literally no disrespect to the actress who came after me.
I'm forgetting her name right now, and this is me just being shady off of cheap wine that I got from from the airport. But I saw her. Cheers! I saw her at airport security years ago, and I turned to my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. I was like, "Oh my God, that's Eve from Angel. She's the one who took over for Lilah." And I literally walked by. By the way, beautiful girl. She was so happy. But then here's this angry little person walking by, like, "You weren't Lilah," but. No disrespect at all. It's just that, like,
I appreciate that you were sticking up for me.
But like, here's the thing: your character. I mean, you had that levity. You had that relationship with everyone. They were fools not to bring Lilah back as the main liaison because that role was made for you. And
I think it must have been budget concern, but they had barely paid me the whole time. I thought. I mean, I can't imagine that I pissed them off so hard. But I mean, I think it must have been budget.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Yeah,
but I agree with you. I think because they had set it up for a really cool last season of Lilah, and then they didn't show up for that.
That's it.
For me,
they told you season 4, we're doing your negotiations. We'll give you what you want, but then you're not coming back the next season.
Yes, they told me that.
There was just no call after your last episode for season 4.
Correct.
That's it. You were just done. That's it. Goodbye.
Interesting. Yeah, and I respected that. Like, I was like, okay, but I also respected that I had been on the show long enough that I deserved to be
5 years.
Yeah. So, and
or 4. I'm sorry, 4 years.
What they were paying me was still like a pittance compared to whatever. No. But they did tell me, because also I was so willing to walk away because I was tired of being underappreciated and I wanted to do something else, even though I loved playing Lilah. So I did. But I thought, because I really, really meant it, that I didn't want to come back unless I got this amount. And it was not that much still. But they did say that. And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay. Because otherwise I really wasn't going to do it. Like, they went back and forth about 5 times with my agents, and I kept saying, no, it's this much or nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind. I also felt it was a self-respect thing. Like, I've shown up for you guys. I've been on this show long enough.
Now show up for me.
Deserve for you to show up for me. And then they did, but then they didn't bring me back.
But but
I got to have a really cool death.
Listen, you had everything. Okay, so it's so wild to me to even hear that, because when I look at Angel, when I watch the series, there is so much love given to Lilah from a writing standpoint. There were some Easter eggs that were, so our first hint that Cordelia, and I think we talked about this with Ian, which was their first hint that Cordelia was the big bad, that she was evil, came through Lilah. When Cordelia has a vision in front of Lilah in that episode where you're killed, and Lilah looks at Cordelia and goes, "It's you." I mean, that's
right. I just got chills. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I need to watch that season again because I haven't. It's weird. I mean, like this band of feelings. But that's right. I forgot about that, and I thought it was so cool that she was the one who killed me. The two Vegas girls.
Wait, how okay, what was that scene like? Do you remember how it went down? Like, was Charisma like, I'm so sorry, I have to stab you now? Like,
Charisma doesn't apologize.
yeah, like motherfucker, that's right.
Exactly. I just love her. No, it was. I mean, if you gotta die, might as well be killed by Cordelia.
Yeah, that's a way to die. Absolutely.
I like it better that I was killed by a woman than a man. I can't explain it, but I like that dynamic because also I had tortured her with visions. Remember?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you had hacked her.
Lilah kind of deserved it from Cordelia.
Well, do you want to know something else though? And I don't know if we ever discussed this, but there's the scene where Wesley is going to decapitate you, right? He's going to get off your head, but then
filming this, yeah.
There's an apparition of you there. At the time on Buffy, there was a character that could take on, he was called the First, could take on the form of the dead. Everyone thought that you were the First in that scene, messing with Wesley. And because obviously we would get Allison Hannigan and the huge and Eliza coming back, so they thought that was a crossover element.
Right. Oh, interesting. That's good to know. I didn't know that. What I felt during that time, that Lilah was his conscience. So what was coming up was what was in his head. So to me, it was a battle between himself. So it's funny. I'm getting chills. I love that. I'm getting chills about that. It's so cool. Yay. Thank you, everybody. But I really played it like I was there for him because and I think there's even a line where it's like, he's like, why are you doing it? It's like, I'm not, you brought me here. Like it's his own battle between his self. And she's just representing that because gratefully it was hard for him to cut my head off. If it would have been easy, then I'm like, wow, what a bad motherfucker. But by bad, I mean like really not good. But I love the psychology behind all of that and what his character got to play. And I loved being, you know how we say like you have an angel and a devil on your shoulders? Yeah. Like I felt like that was kind of him dealing with the angel and the devil. Angel, no pun intended. Oh yeah, pun intended. But
wait, so that seems like it's a fine like period on Lilah. Did you know you were going to come back for the season finale then? That you were going to have that final like swan song and that you would have been leading the Wolferman Heart in Hell Dimension?
I didn't know anything until that they sent me the script from episode to episode. So no, I was in as much as wondering and excited. Oh, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen? But I knew that it was my last episode. Okay, but I didn't know how they were going to do it. Well, but I did lose a little bit extra weight so I'd look extra fabulous.
I mean that purple top so I call it the Lilah walk when you're coming in to meet the team and you have people behind you.
Isn't that the coolest thing? Oh my god.
I am obsessed. Like that is like when I walk into an office or anything, I do the Lilah strut in my head. And you get like a kind of little look to the side too as you're walking.
I can't even tell you how happy I was that day to have all these men behind me and me in the front. It's so funny. That's what that look was like. That's right, mother. Uh-huh. But that felt really good and powerful, and I really appreciated that they wrote me some really good stuff at the end. And I also liked the white thing to cover where he'd cut me.
Yeah, your scar.
Like the reveal.
You're like, don't worry, lover. I didn't feel a thing. I know your lines.
That was a great moment too. And even like I really enjoyed preparing for that scene, and even the whole scene with the different cast members in the office. Like, you're not going to want this still, but you're going to take it. I gotta go. I want to own the room. I want to own everyone behind.
But you did. Let me tell you, she had a great send off. Now that we can look at the show in retrospectively, you know, she had a great send off. We always say that
they
like
did me a big favor. Sorry, they gave me, and I'm forever grateful, and I love playing all of those moments. And I'm really excited to see David Greenwald, who I haven't seen it. Has it been 25 years? I can't believe it. You have to admit how well I did as an 8-year-old playing Lilah.
Slay Queen, yes.
You slay me too.
So, for the family at home who doesn't know, you're going to be at Hellmouth Con in June, and it's June 13th through the 15th, and you're going to be reunited. Lindsay is going to be there. Christian Kane is going to be there.
Christian Kane, and I haven't seen him in so long. He and I had so much fun working together. We loved it. I had so much fun acting with him.
Are you doing a photo op together with him? Like, it makes sense that both of you should be a photo op.
I'm not sure what they've got planned. I can't remember, but I can't imagine that they wouldn't. You know what I mean? It seems like it would be I'm sure they must. I'm sure they must be doing it. But I'm excited. I haven't, like I said, 10, 12, 15 years since I've seen them. So that'll be...
That's going to be iconic. And obviously, Juliet Landau is going to be there.
Juliet Landau, whoop, whoop, whoop,
who is Drusilla. You had some really great scenes with her. I mean, I always remember that the basement scene where they spared your character, obviously.
I know. When I was reading that script, when I got it, I thought for sure, this is the day that I die. You're just like, you know what's coming. This is the day that I die. And I'm like, woo, woo, I don't die. But she's great. She's like, I love the way that she, like, her commitment to the character of Drusilla. Yeah. It's just fantastic. And she's the one, by the way, who brought me into the convention. So that was nice.
I didn't know that. Oh, so you're going to be reunited with her as well. Oh my God.
Exactly.
That's gonna be so lovely
it's through her. Yeah, so I appreciate it. Hey, shout out to Juliet Landau. Whoop, whoop.
We love you, Juliet. So, okay, wait. You're going to be doing this con in June, but then, because I'm planning this next year in February.
I'm so excited. Paris is my favorite city. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, you know the particulars better than I do.
Paris!
That's going to be so much fun.
I'm so excited. And also because of my fans over in Europe, and they're excited. They've been at, like, this last one in Paris. I'm surprised they didn't ask before, because a lot of fans were like reaching out to me. I want to see you. So I used to do cons back in the day and go to London, and I don't think I've ever done one in Paris before. This will be my very first one. So I'm excited. I'm excited to meet all the fans out there and be in Paris with you.
Stop it. I'm going to be your fanboy there, just like recording. I'm going to be your social media manager. I'm just going to be taking photos of you the entire time. And
yay!
I'm just going to be Slay Queen.
Yes, let's do it. Yes. It's like what you were talking about earlier, that your motto, and it really resonated with me because it's my motto as well, is I say yes. So you're like opening up your heart to opportunity. I say yes. And so when you said that to me, I said yes.
And by the way, I think people always like misunderstand. Saying yes does not mean being a fool, but saying yes to opportunities instead. You know, you can't say, you got to do it. Sorry, go.
Don't say sorry.
I was telling you that too. And now all I can say is like, I'm so sorry, Lilah.
I know. It made me feel so much better. I was like, do I say sorry a lot? He keeps telling me not to say sorry. Like, you kept saying it. I was like, oh, soul brother, I'm sorry.
I just don't feel we should ever. I hate the word sorry.
Sorry. So sorry.
But for me, like, the word sorry is just one of those, like, our actions speak for themselves. And like, if I'm truly remorseful on a situation, I'm going to give you action on how to do it better. Sorry just seems like something just to, it feels hollow.
For it. Like, if I was speaking French or I was in France, it would be like, je t'adore, mon amour, parce que tu es incroyable.
What did you say?
I said, I adore you, my love, because you are incredible.
Stop it. You make me so red right now. Thank you so much for your time today. Stephanie, before we let you go, obviously we lost a member of the Buffy community, Michelle Trachtenberg, who played Dawn Summers, Buffy's little sister.
You know, I was shocked, to be honest, and I thought she did such a wonderful job. And so, it's so funny, I just got so many chills. It's so sad to lose her so young. And I didn't know her, I've never met her, I've only read what you've read, but it's sad when someone that young passes, and I only know what I read, and I felt really bad for her and her family and everyone around her, and for the whole community that adores her. And I've loved all of her career. When she started acting really young, didn't she?
Oh my God, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Harriet the Spy, everything. She was
That's
Penny,
right.
Penny in Inspector Gadget. It's just.
That's right. So I'm a huge fan, and unfortunately, I never got to meet her. And it struck me pretty hard, actually, that she died, and that she died so young. And it just makes me feel grateful for every day that I get to walk on this planet, and I get to walk on it with you, and we get to walk on it with others, and we should just spread the joy, spread the love, and gratitude will take you everywhere.
Stephanie Romanov, I love you so much. Can you tell folks at home where to find you?
I think you can find me on Romanov Stephanie on Instagram. And thank you for asking. I am, to all my fans, to everybody out there, and to you as well, I'm really trying to get back in the world, post as much as I can so that I can deliver, well, not all your needs, you know what I'm saying? I can't do it all. But I am definitely out there, and I'm wanting to hear from people, or I want you guys to show up at these conventions and get me mentioned and give me more. I want to come see all of you. I love you guys, and I love you, Paul.
I love you.
I really do love you, my little prince.
Stop it. My queen. Okay, that's it. We're ending it here. That's where we're going to end.